Hello. Give me a hello if you can hear this as usual, please. Hello Julie again. Always lovely to see you. Virtually. Just wait a few moments. Hello Jessica again. Like hand in the air. Good, you can hear me. Thanks Julie. I've put the microphone in a better place this time, so I won't get in trouble. Good, I'm very pleased you can, Julie. If you can, then my mum can, so everybody's happy. So, tonight, Lockdown Live 8. Unbelievable. So we're going to have a chat about sort of natural first aid kits, useful things you could have at home for minor ailments, things you can treat at home yourself. First, apologies if it sounds a little echoey in here though. It's currently empty as we've been preparing the clinic to try and make it as COVID safe as possible and to be able to clean easier between patients. So we did have the carpet down there, and it looks like if we've got carpet then we'd have to steam clean it sort of in sessions between the end of the day. So we've decided to go for some wood flooring, which was extremely challenging because it didn't quite go according to plan, but our daughter Ella's very talented partner, Adam, he came to the rescue and did a fabulous job for us. That's the waiting area as now. That's in the treatment room, so I think he's done a brilliant job putting all that together. And the beauty is actually with social distancing is that I social distanced, well, Adam did all the work. Fantastic. So thank you, Adam. I'm really pleased how that's coming on. Just got to put a little disclaimer up again for these things. I'm going to play the game. So, there we go. This evening live events is for educational purposes only. Feels like I'm doing an insurance thing. And contains general information regarding medical conditions and treatments. Individualised care and advice should be provided by a qualified healthcare provider. So, before embarking on any self-treatment, make sure you know what you're treating, and if the symptoms worsen or continue, do seek professional medical advice. That's really important. I think we need to make that very clear. Personally, I really dislike treating symptoms because they are just that. They're symptoms of an underlying cause. However, sometimes it is helpful to have a few things at hand to help tide you over. But do be aware of the little symptoms and be sure to tell your healthcare provider, as they can often give a really helpful clue to an underlying cause. So many people may mention something in passing and I think, oh, that's useful. And they think, oh, I didn't think that was relevant. The little things are really relevant. So there are a few things that we, as a family, there we are, a little treat there from a few years back, have used for many, many years, and they're so much part of our everyday life, we sometimes forget to consider that maybe not everybody uses some of those things. So that's why I thought it'd be helpful to put together some resources that might be useful to have in your health cupboard, sort of at home in case of those little emergencies that often arise. This is by no means an exhaustive list obviously, and please feel free to add things that work for you in the comments and we'll have a look at those afterwards, because I'm sure you've got some great stuff that you use for your family that would be really good to share. As I was looking through our cupboard, our health cupboard, as I'm sure we all got one of those, I was sort of trying to remind myself of the various bits and bobs that we had. We commonly use. I was coming up a bit short. I think I'm missing some things here. So I contacted our really good friend Carol, she's a herbalist, and I asked her what she had in her cupboard, and she immediately reminded me of some of the things I'd forgotten about or not used so often, and it got me to thinking that I think many times, especially if you've got children, your first aid kit, your natural pharmacy, it changes and evolves as your family's needs do. For instance, we used to use Nelson's teething granules for the children as they were cutting their teeth. But obviously, they no longer need them now, so they're not on our cupboard any longer. And whilst we're talking about children, essential oils, citronella, tea tree, lavender, neem, they can all be helpful for the topical treatment of nits. Nits, sorry, I've got a little photo there. Nitinora the bug explorer. Obviously, you've got to be really careful with essential oils with anybody. So dilute them and try a little patch to make sure there's no adverse reaction there. Mix them with a carrier oil. Something else that's quite helpful for nits as well is olive oil and almond oil. They sort of essentially smother the nits so they can't breathe. Sounds a bit harsh. A couple of cough removers. Nelson's Soother is excellent. Sambucus nigra from elderflower, or make your own elderflower juice, which is great. That's really good for coughs and colds, works really well as an antioxidant, and it tastes really good. But Sambucus nigra is not to be confused with Sambuca, because the results are quite a bit different. So just make sure of that. One of the things that probably has been used the most over the years in our household is our homeopathic kit. We've got the 36 remedy homeopathic kit there, and that's the inside of it. So obviously 36 different remedies, each for a variety of different things. And you could think, oh, I don't know how to use that. Great thing is the kits come with a materia medica, which is it's a symptom checker essentially. So if you look up your symptom, say for example a cough, quite topical at the moment. So you go into your little materia medica and look at cough, and it would say what sort of cough. It's dry at night, loose in the morning. That could indicate pulsatilla. If it's a dry cough with a headache, it could be bryonia. So you think, well, okay, I'm going to look up bryonia. So the second half of the book has got the actual remedy. So you look at bryonia there, and it says it's dryness of all mucous membranes. There's a great thirst. The symptoms are worse for movement, and the person's like a bear with a sore head, sort of irritable and resentful. It's interesting how lots of the homeopathics incorporate the emotional, physical and structural elements of each remedy, which obviously fits in really nicely with the triad of health. So it's just nice to sort of work backwards and forwards, if you like, to try and find out what's the best remedy if you don't know straight away what it could be. They also do an 18 remedy kit, which is obviously half amount of remedies. Something that we found really useful, especially in the early days, with the childbirth kit, and I learnt it inside out, back to front, for when Julie was pregnant with Ella. We had a home birth then, and so I knew which remedy to give her at every stage and every symptom that she was experiencing at the time, which I'm sure it helped the actual home birth itself. But I mean, she was amazing, she really was. This is her a few minutes after giving birth. I was able to cut the cord, which was lovely, and pass it over to Julie. That was literally a few minutes after. I mean, she looked amazing, and she was incredible throughout the whole process. But I think it helped me. I think it helped the dads as well, because it feels like we can do something, and not rather than just telling you to breathe. So it gives you something tangible to help there. This is just when Josh first met Ella properly as well, quite a long time ago now. So there's also a travel kit that they have, and that focuses more on travel related issues, which we used to take with us on holiday all the time, but we became a little bit complacent a few years ago and didn't take it with us for the first time, and that was the time we very much needed it. Lesson learned. So it's always useful to have one of those kits, I think. If you don't have the full kit, there are a couple of homeopathics which we use so often for various minor ailments. Arnica for bruising, I'm sure you've all heard of that. Rustox and Ruta for good for the ligament, muscle and tendon pain. Cantharis can be useful for early onset of urine infections. Nut to bomb can be quite useful for nausea and vomiting. China for exhaustion, especially if somebody's been unwell and they've got that really exhausted feeling. China can be quite helpful there. Belladonna for temperatures that are going up too high. Always important to know why the temperature's gone up too high, but it can help to manage that situation. So the Bach flower remedies, which I know many of you are familiar with, they're fantastic for all sorts of emotional different issues that are going on, and there's 38 of them. But the rescue remedy is 5 of them in one, and if you don't have any others, have some rescue remedy or 5 flower remedy, it's the same thing. It's really useful in the case of shock, emotional trauma, pain, and so it's 5 of the 38 of them, the standard Bach flowers. It's got cherry plum in, which is for sort of fear of mind giving way if you've got too much going on. It's got clematis in, which is for that sort of dreaminess, lack of interest. It's got some impatiens, which is for impatience. It's got some rock rose in it, which is great for sort of terror. And Star of Bethlehem, which is really good for shock. So it encompasses all those things. So that's, I think, that's an absolute for anybody's home pharmacy. Get some rescue remedy. It's an all-purpose emergency composite, really. So for exams, going to the dentist, it's great for that. A couple of drops under the tongue, as regularly as you like, or put it into some water and sip it. I know that many people have the full collection of the Bach flower remedies, all 38 of them, and it's often really interesting to see what shows up when we're working with muscle testing to try and find out what the emotional component needs help with, and we find the remedy, find what it is, and then have to say, oh, it's so and so, it's wild oat, for example, which is for uncertainty, and some go, oh yeah, well that makes sense because this. So it's a great way of just helping with those issues. I remember many years ago, actually, I was treating a lady, and a particular flower remedy came up. I forget what it is now. And I suggested, okay, this could be useful for you. And she looked at me really shocked, as if I was, how do I know that? It was exactly the same remedy her homeopathic vet had prescribed for a dog. So was she picking up emotionally from her dog, or vice versa? Who knows? I always find that was a really interesting one. Talking of stress relievers, and this isn't really a remedy as such, but in the face of exams, driving tests, etc., there's a simple little procedure you can do fairly surreptitiously as well. I think it might be worth just mentioning it here if you can. First, drink a glass of water, then rub underneath your collarbones on both sides, cross your hands and loop them up, and just cross your feet over, and then just look into the distance for 30 seconds or so. Now it's like a reset for everything. The water is supposed to be to help the neurotransmitters in the brain to function a bit better. Rubbing the acupuncture points here, kidney 27, is supposed to stimulate energy up into the brain. Using your left and right brain and switching them off, getting to do two things at once. So your brain goes, oh, hang on a minute, and it's a nice little reset. You've got the breathing, get the oxygen going in. And to make it even more effective, add some rescue remedy in at the same time. I thought it's just worth that little tip there. So if you're driving tests or sitting in an exam, you can get away with doing that for a few moments just while you get back into the zone. And don't forget the FAST technique. That's that one that we've talked about before, the first aid stress tool. I've got a video of that onto the website under self-help videos. So take a look at that. That can be always quite helpful. So for acute low back pain, there's a couple of things which are really useful. That's the homeopathic, it's RRA we call it, homeopathic Rhus tox, Ruta and Arnica. And then add some rescue remedy into that, and that's a great start to try and help healing. And there's a variety of homeopathic creams made by Nelson's, Helios, Willida. They're all really useful to have in your cupboard. Arnica is probably the number one again for bumps and bruises, shock. Calendula cream, Urtical, Hypercal, they're great for cuts, scrapes, skin irritations. Witch hazel as well, also useful for skin irritations. Arnica gel itself is really great for sort of inflamed joints. It's similar to the ibuprofen gel, so that can be quite useful for that without the negative side effects. Glucosamine gel itself can be great for sort of arthritic joints. Tiger balm, we all love a bit of tiger balm. Obviously great for muscular pain. It's a very distinctive smell, and do be careful if applying it with clothes or at night, because it can stain clothing and sheets. It's a nice yellowy sort of colour. It creates a very warm burning feeling, so please don't apply it to sensitive areas. That would not be a good idea. Something we've been using recently in the clinic a little bit more, and I really quite like, is something called Dynamint. So that's a natural ointment. They do it as a cream, they do it as a spray, they do it as a roll-on, and that's been really good for rubbing into joints and into aches and pains. So I'm really quite a fan of that. I like that a lot. Arnica cream for bruises, as we said. Always keep an ice pack in the freezer, or a spare pack of frozen peas. Or sweet corn, that's your choice. Hot water bottle, or a cherry stone bag, or a lavender bag. I quite like the cherry stone bags because the larger stones in them really seem to have I guess it's the surface area around it really gets into those areas, especially in the sort of back of the neck or on the shoulder, really nice and comforting. A few teas that can be really good. Chamomile tea, good to have in. That can help with nausea, restlessness, easier to help people get to sleep. Peppermint tea, that's been really helpful with indigestion and sort of general digestive upsets. Carol, our good friend Carol, also suggests having nettle tea in the cupboard for inflammation of sort of arthritic pain. It also helps flush out excessive uric acid, so potentially can be quite helpful with gout. She also suggests, this is a great top tip, especially at the moment, she also suggests using the essential oils thyme and eucalyptus and put 10 to 20 drops in the shower tray So when you're having a shower and the warm water's coming onto it, so that you're sort of inhaling it, and it really helps to strengthen the lungs. So I think that's probably a really good idea at the moment. That's a top tip there. Thank you, Carol. Lemon balm is a good general tea. Great for digestive issues, for the nervous system, and the good old bilious feeling. It's not really a term you hear so much these days, but I certainly remember my granny using it. So that's another good one to have in your tea cupboard. Uva ursi, a great herb which, if used early enough, can help with urine infections, as cantharis, as we mentioned earlier, and possibly bicarbonate soda. But use cautiously and keep a really close eye on the symptoms, as UTIs can develop very quickly and get out of control. Again, find out why if you get them regularly, because there's something must be creating it, something must be causing it. It's good to have some cinnamon in your cupboard. That can be really helpful for diarrhea. You can also add cinnamon sticks to the classic hot lemon, ginger and honey drink for simple cough, cold symptom reliever. And a really important one for many people is milk thistle. Certainly have that. It's a really good liver detoxer. So if you've had a bit of a heavy night or a bit of a large meal, it helps to. You don't want to look like that. It helps you for that morning after the night before. So that milk thistle is a really good phase 1 liver detoxer. A really good oil again for night time. I think we mentioned this a couple of weeks ago in the sleep discussion. Lavender oil. A couple of drops on your pillow or in an oil burner. A couple of drops into the temples can help with stress and tension headaches. So that's a really useful essential oil there as well. I don't doubt that you've all heard of echinacea. It's a great frontline herb to aid with immune system health. If you think you're going down with something, you can get on it quickly. It can be very helpful and just stop those symptoms straight away. After you've been ill and you feel sort of dehydrated as well, it's great to have some sort of rehydration formula. I really like one at the moment called Light Switch. It's really pure, no one necessarily has additives or any of that nonsense. It's a great addition, and it's great for after illness or after workouts to rehydrate properly there. That's from the Human Nutrition Project. The chap who developed it is a very bright chap over in America, and very coming up with a whole range of things which fit in so well with the type of work that we do, because there's no rubbish in it. So aloe vera gel, definitely have some aloe vera in. Or even sometimes the plant itself, you can slice the leaves and get the gel out. Probably wouldn't want to eat that one because a lot of these are ones that aren't edible that we have in our homes, but there are edible ones obviously. But that's great for all sorts of things. Good for minor burns, along with cold tea, because the tannin in that can also be helpful. It's good to calm the digestive system and very helpful with heartburn. Now, apple cider vinegar. We could probably do a whole discussion on the uses of ACV. But some of the things it's been purported to help with is obesity, heart health, dandruff, kidney stones, indigestion, as we spoke about a few weeks ago when we talked about gut health. It really helps get the acid levels up, the appropriate acid levels up. Make sure it's Bragg's or one with the mother in it. You know it's likely sort of cloudy, and that's a good sign. So like Aspall's off the Tesco shelf, clear one, it's not the same thing, it's not what we're after. But you can make it at home relatively easily. I'm going to put the recipe up, or a couple of recipes up actually, onto the website in the next couple of days, but you probably can't read that because it's quite small, I know. But it's cheap, obviously, making it this way. You can make it from scraps. So you use the scraps, the peels, the cores, and stick into a wide bowl or a jar, stick them all in there, put a bit of cheesecloth over the top to keep the flies out, and let it air, so they'll turn brown, as we've all seen apples do, which is exactly what we want. Add the apple scraps to the jar and then top it up with water, and you can continue adding scraps for a few more days, but obviously you've a bit of room in the jar at the top of it. Then cover it with a cheesecloth again and stick it in a warm, dark place like an airing cupboard is perfect. And you'll notice that the contents of the jar starts to thicken up after a few days, and there's like a greyish scum forms over the top. And that's good. When that happens, don't add any more scraps. You leave it alone then for a month, and it ferments. Then after a month, you can start taste testing it. when it's just about strong enough for you, because people like things different ways, then you strain the apple scraps out and bottle the vinegar. It's that simple. Set it up, top it up, leave it alone. And it will be cloudy, and there should be some sediment into it, and that is the mother, and that's what we want. So a nice simple one there for those who like doing things at home. That might be good for Julie's sister's husband Mike, who loves making things and did the fantastic kimchi a few weeks ago for us. So definitely worth having ACV on hand. And the vinegar there, or any vinegar actually, or lemon juice, great for wasp stings, so good to have there. Bicarbonate soda again for bee stings and ant stings. Handful of bicarb in the bath after a stressful day can help to realkalise and just take away a lot of the tension out of the muscles. And it can also be quite helpful with cystitis as well. So pop in a handful in the bath there. And as you've probably gathered over the last few weeks, months, we can all do with vitamin D, especially in the winter. Even NHS guidelines confirm that we'd all benefit from supplementation. And there's increasing evidence all the time that has a direct beneficial effect on those with COVID-19. They have much better outcomes if they've got a higher level of vitamin D. Vitamin C, obviously. And the first sign of coughs and colds, high doses up to bowel tolerance. See if you can knock it out quickly. Colloidal silver. It's a useful natural antibiotic, both orally and topically. We're currently really happy with the Cura range. It's made down the road in Brighton. We've used it for years for all sorts of things, from ear infections to chest infections. Don't overdo it, because you can turn blue though. There's a syndrome there that can happen there if you have too much silver, but I think there'll be quite a lot for that. Coconut oil, such an important use, a varied use for it. Use it in cooking as a source of stable, healthy fat, but you can also use it for a lot of oral health. So oil pulling, I don't know if that's something that people do, but have a teaspoonful of coconut oil, put it in the mouth, and then suck it to and through between your teeth as much as you possibly can, around the gums, and do that between 3 and 5 minutes, but then spit it away. Don't swallow it, because it'll accumulate a lot of the bacteria that we don't want, and then we can get rid of it. It's strong antimicrobial properties as well. It can really help with dental and gum health in that way. Topically, you can use it for dry, irritated skin as well. That could be really good for that. It's very nourishing because of its fatty acid content. So, tea tree oil, really good for sort of fungal toenails, along with lavender. It's another topical antiseptic. A lot of people go along with tea tree oil. I know a lot of people don't like the smell of it. That puts them off. Citrucidal. It was really popular maybe about 15 years ago and sort of gone off the boil a little bit. No reason why. It's grapefruit seed extract. It's a great antimicrobial, so that's what can be helpful with digestive support. Really useful, small little container to take away when you're travelling. It's very powerful as well, so you need to dilute it. You can use it topically for irritations again. It's a massive source of antioxidants. It's all one of those cure-all type ones. People always use it to sanitize work surfaces like a disinfectant. That's quite a useful one. If you have mouth ulcers quite a lot, if you've got some B6, let's open a capsule of B6, stick it in some water, swill it around, gargle it for 30 to 60 seconds, then spit it away. That can help the mouth ulcers. Homeopathic Mercaviv as well. That's another one to add in. I think that's actually in the 36 kit. Anyway, ideally with all of these things, prevention is better than cure. Get your diet right, schedule enough sleep, get your regular exercise. I know it's probably getting boring, but we still got to get those basics in. That minimises the chances of symptoms occurring to start with. And don't just ignore minor symptoms. They could well be indicative of something else going on. And if symptoms don't resolve or improve fairly quickly, then do seek qualified medical help. Now, slight tangent here, but who doesn't like a freebie? We've partnered up with the lovely Phoebe Hart, and by partnered up I mean Phoebe kindly contacted me and offered this. I did nothing, but I thought it sounded good. She's offering followers of this page a free online Hatha yoga session next week. She'll be focusing on breathing and alignment, so it's really nice and slow, nice and gentle. If you see Phoebe, in reality she's amazing. She can do all sorts of things with the body which you couldn't even imagine, but this is nice and gentle, nice and really focused, and Phoebe's lovely. If it's something you would be interested in, then just email her there and at phoebehartyoga@gmail.com, and say you saw it here or wherever, and she'll hook you up with a free online lesson session next Saturday morning at 9 AM. So that's always worth taking up. So that was, or is, all my bits and pieces. I'm just showing off now because I've got another little slideshow going. So I'm going to leave that going whilst I have a look through the comments. See what else we've got to add to it. Oh, Caroline, hello Caroline. Oh, Julie, my Julie got there. And Sue, hi Sue. John, hi Matt, how was the golf? Yeah, we're not going to talk about that actually, because I'll need to do the fast technique and take some rescue remedy, John. Ray and Linda are here, that's good. And Russ, hi Russ. Very fancy, thank you. I can see you two, you dreamt of it. Thanks, Judy. Sandy. Ella, why that photo? Well, stress relievers, anything. I'm not sure what some of these things are about at the moment. I found, from Lisa here, I found that insect bites are also helped by bicarbonate of soda. Yes, Lisa, definitely. What dose of vitamin D now? It's a good question, Trudy. So if you're able to get out in the sun, 20 minutes to half an hour, depending on your skin tone, you'll get about 20,000 IUs of vitamin D. And that's a hell of a lot. So if you're getting out regularly and you've been taking it throughout the winter, you probably don't need it too much at the moment. But if you're not getting out regularly and you didn't take it over the winter, I'd still keep going 2,000 to 3,000 IUs. If you didn't take it over the winter, I'd be up to 5,000 at the moment. My mum, should it be the extra virgin coconut oil, preferably organic? Yeah, definitely preferably organic if we can. And Sue Strong, what's the best way to take colloidal silver? Depends what you're taking it for, to be honest. Orally is generally fine, sort of 5 mils 3 times a day. Normally it's pretty effective. And if you need to put a drop for an ear thing, 1 or 2 drops a day. 1 or 2 drops a time, 3 times a day. Struggling with indigestion, did you discuss this? Yeah, a few things there, Rachel. Obviously from a few weeks back we mentioned about it. So we want to be looking at trying to increase naturally the stomach acid. So that's where the apple cider vinegar with meals can be helpful. Sorry, I just saw the question under that. I'll just move that down for a moment. I've got sidetracked there. Ginger, really helpful. Zinc can be helpful, but bicarbonate of soda as a first line one, put a couple of teaspoons into some water and drink that, and that will calm it down quite quickly. This is a brilliant question. Thanks, Linda. So most essential oils rely on you being able to smell them. Anosmic, so obviously can't smell. Is there any point in using them? Yes, they do have a massive effect, obviously, on the olfactory system, but they do have topical agents as well. So they are antimicrobial, they are antifungal, antiparasitic as well. So they do work without you having to smell them. The smell definitely helps, but it activates different parts of the brain as well. But yeah, that's a great question. Okay. Any other questions? Any other top tips that you've got I can add to my list? No. Cool. Lovely. Well, we'll see where this next week takes us, shall we? I'm not quite sure how we're going to manage for next week. Because I've got a few things in mind still, but we're still trying to sort out the rest of the clinic area as well, in case we can open for emergencies only. Lovely. Take care, everybody. Thank you for dropping by, and we'll catch up shortly.